I see this ultimately heading to hopefully some kind of federal legislative approach that might be not as neutered or watered down as Marco Rubio's proposal, but actually provides meaningful economic benefits to student athletes that has some level of uniformity across the board and consistency without any arbitrary restrictions, caps, or limitations.
How does that happen, guys? What's the steps that need to occur? Because again, you've got, like we talked about, California, Colorado, Florida. You got the NCAA trying to figure it out right now by January. Who does that right now to kind of get it all under one umbrella?
Congress is a cauldron right now. We have an election year. All the controversy swirling around President Trump and how everything is so politicized. Even the wearing of a mask has become politicized. While NIL legislation on the federal level really shouldn't be that controversial, I think it gets swept to the side for a while, and we kind of march down this path of state-by-state legislation until at some point maybe there's a changing of the guard in the White House and things temper down a little bit politically and with the great divide that exists in this country. Right now, we don't have the right kind of environment and circumstances, especially with COVID-19, to move forward expeditiously here federally.
So you're saying to me, you really think, and Dan, I'm wondering if you agree with that you are going to have a bunch of states that are trying, whatever the NCAA puts out in January, that are going to try to further it and push the envelope a little bit further, and they're going to be able to do that. And you're going to have, everybody's going to get like every state, every school is going to have certain things from the NCAA, but others are going to be able to obviously have more, whether it is a Florida or whatever, Florida, for example. If you go to school in Florida, you could get benefits that you're not able to get in Georgia.
So for example, just because I wrote a long form article on it. I mean, at the end of the day, like New York, New York's not such a football or basketball powerhouse, but they have a portion of their law that says if whatever revenue the school makes, the athletes can get a piece of that pie. So that's not the case in California, for example. So I think just if everyone's kind of watching the time frame, I think there's going to be a world, because the NCAA has applied for antitrust exemption. I don't think they're going to get it. I don't think there's any reason to treat them like Major League Baseball and just give them this side status. When they've shown over the years that they haven't really, been worthy of that. But let's say January comes, they put these laws into effect, these mandates across the NCAA. They still have another, 6 months for Florida's to come into effect. So I think there's a world where they just invites antitrust challenge, and you see that play out in the courts. And I think, Jeff, just kind of important to note, this is my take on it as a college basketball fan, college football fan. It's not so long ago where you had the top pick in the NBA draft be, a 4-year starter at college. There's a version of this world, if the NCAA can think about it properly, where there is more money to be made in college. If you have a guy that can make $5 million a year as the big man on campus at UCLA instead of dropping to
look at Zion. Look at what Zion could have made. Honestly, he could have probably made more money through 100%. Social media and everything that comes along with it and endorsements than he could have made. He makes in his first actual contract. Take the marketing deal out of the equation once he gets to the pros. But his first actual contract in the NBA, he could make more money in college. There's a chance.
100%. And then I think there's just kind of this weird dichotomy. I mean, there's no reason, at least when it comes to me, just as a reasonable person looking at this, if you're going to allow athletes the ability to profit off of their name, image, and likeness, why on God's earth would you not give them an agent to maximize their profitability? But under the name, image, and likeness recommendations, no agents, nope, we can't do this. We're going to mess you up the sport. It doesn't really make sense. So who's going to make sure that I make the most money? My parents, who are not going to be trained professionals, the school who doesn't have the right incentive, or me? I already have enough on my plate. So I think they really have to tweak this thing, or else it's really going to look like wage discrimination.
So that's a big thing for you. You're a proponent of let them have agents to navigate all of this so they can figure out how to maximize, whether it's their social media, whether it's an endorsement with a company down the street from where they grew up, or the school that they go to.
Right. I mean, Dan can speak to this too. You legalize sports betting, all of a sudden, all these seedy characters go away. You legalize agents in the sport, all of a sudden it's out in the open. why not allow these athletes, like California is what I've called an entrepreneurship license. You can just create new revenue channels that didn't exist. So why does the NCAA care so much if an athlete is making more money for the sport, incentivizing guys to stay 4 years? Obviously, those TV contracts, March Madness, are going to go up.